The mark of the beast, when buying and selling cannot be done anonymously. Is the mark already here? How will we know when it has arrived? How can we buy and sell today without state identification? Too many people are aiming at the wrong mark when it comes to the mark of the beast. They worry about an RFID chip being implanted in their forehead or right hand, but they miss the essence of what the mark of the beast is all about. It is not a physical thing, but a concept or a principle. It is an essential human right to enter into commerce, that is, to buy or sell. Everyone needs to be able to purchase their basic human needs: food, water, clothing, shelter. The mark of the beast is a system where you cannot buy or sell anonymously. Or, in other words, your survival as a human being is dependent upon being marked or numbered by this beast system. Without this identifying number, you face starvation, if not for God's mercy. It doesn't matter what form the mark takes. It is immaterial whether it is a chip, or a biometric marker, or a tattoo, or any other device. What makes it the mark of the beast is its exclusivity. There is nowhere else to go to buy life's essentials except by receiving their mark. When it comes to obtaining basic human needs, a person should not be required to be identified. Everyone needs access. To further understand the mark of the beast, take a look at property ownership. It turns out that no one can buy or sell a piece of real property that is landlocked. Every piece of land needs a way to ingress and egress. You can't lock someone in their property and leave them no means to travel out, nor can you keep them from entering their property. There must be a road, or a right-of-way, or an easement. The owners must be given access. Similarly, people cannot be kept out of buying or selling. If all doors are closed and the only access to commerce is with a number issued by a central agency, then that agency would truly become a beast. Has the U.S. implemented the mark of the beast? Let's take a trip to the local bank. You walk through the door and ask for a bank account so you can enter into commerce. Let's say you want a debit card to make purchases online. One of the first requirements is that you show your federally or state-issued identification. If you don't have it, the conversation's over.
Denied.
You are denied an account and lose the privilege of using debit and credit cards and personal checks. In other words, unless you have a state-issued mark, you cannot use a bank account to buy and sell. With this control device in place, banks decide who can buy or sell, and who lives and who starves. Looks like the mark of the beast, doesn't it? However, one thing prevents this system from being the mark of the beast: cash. As long as cash is available, you can buy and sell, even without a bank account, and you can do so anonymously. If you look on the dollar bill, it says, "This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private." The day that merchants refuse to accept cash is the end of anonymous buying and selling, and is the full implementation of the mark of the beast. If you want to send funds through the mail, you can still buy money orders with cash. However, you need state-issued identification to cash them. The new Postal Service's policy is that no money orders will be cashed without state ID. Previously, a postal money order could be purchased and redeemed without identification and had no expiration date. It was similar to cash. However, things have changed for the worse. Recently, the local postmaster would not acknowledge our existence without state identification. He would not work with us on alternative ID. He said, "Unless you have state identification, I will never know you." Taking the matter up with his supervisors only reconfirmed that state identification, and only state identification, is acceptable to cash postal money orders. Unless we have the mark of state identification, the Postal Service will not recognize us. Apparently, cashing postal money orders has been made a part of the Mark of the Beast system, along with obtaining bank accounts. Every form of financial transactions, except cash, requires a state-issued mark. So that part of the Mark of the Beast system is in place and being enforced. Why are credit cards, debit cards, personal and business checks, and money orders the beginning of the Mark of the Beast? Because you must be marked or numbered by their system to use them. These services cannot be used anonymously. When cash is removed, the Mark of the Beast will be fully in place. The dark side of a cashless society. A cashless society would not allow transactions without a mark. That's what's so evil about going cashless. There would be no alternatives to buy or sell unless you had the mark. In a cashless society, every transaction is electronic and subject to approval by those who issue the mark. Fines or withdrawal of privileges could be levied against the unacceptable behavior. The people would not be free. They would bear a badge of servitude to their master. Those who refused to receive a mark would face starvation. When the cashless society offers no alternative way to buy or sell, then that program would be in violation of law and would be a criminal government. This would be an evil system, and it would truly be the beast. If you think you're being smart by taking the mark, consider this. Even those who take the Mark of the Beast lose their basic rights. That is the dark side of the cashless society. With each electronic transaction, a digital footprint is created showing what occurred and how much was paid. All this data can be analyzed to create a profile of who you are and how you can be exploited. Recently, a reporter from the U.S. traveled to China to do a story. One morning, shortly after arriving, he was notified by phone that he had been caught on camera jaywalking. The fine had been automatically taken from his bank account. Yes, before entering China, he had gone through a biometric identification process and had signed an agreement to comply with China's laws. Still in disbelief, the reporter walked over to where he had allegedly jailwalked and saw a huge electronic billboard called the Wall of Shame. The billboard displayed those who had recently been fined, and there, among those lawbreakers, was the reporter's picture and personal details. Having the mark doesn't mean you are safe. Since all transactions are electronic, with a Mark of the Beast system, you could be punished or excluded from buying or selling because of your beliefs. This is already happening in China with their social credit system. Suddenly, you might find yourself huddling in a cave with your new companions who refuse the mark and are also unable to buy or sell. When you receive the mark of the beast, you're promising to obey the laws that men have written. But that's not all. You're also promising to obey all the laws that are still in the minds of men. Sounds like a crazy person. What is the solution? Come out of them and be separate, says the Lord. Touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you, and I will be a father to you, and you will be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. 2 Corinthians 6:17-18. Don't participate with Babylon and their schemes. Tell others of the dangers of a cashless society. Identify yourself with Christ and His kingdom, not with the world system. We were created to live in freedom. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. There are two parts to the mark of the beast system. First, in order to buy or sell, you must take the mark. And secondly, even if you obtain the mark, the beast determines if and when you can buy or sell. And both aspects are a violation of human rights. The beast system seeks to control whether you live or die. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ had made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Galatians 5:1.
Wake up and repent! The kingdom of heaven is at hand!